لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله هاهم وديب keep going ذكر ربي فذكر ربي هو شفاه الله 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 ربي عوني وحسبي ما لي سواه أحببت ربا هو اعتمادي لكل شيء هو يشاء الله وكل حبي لغير ربي فيه عذاب وفيه شقاء أنا الله 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 ربي عوني وحسبي ما لي سواه يا فوز فاني عن فنائي له حياة له بقاء الله 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 ربي عوني وحسبي ما لي سواه يا ربي صلي على محمد من ذاته النور الرواديه أو عليه وأصحاب كرامي الله أحد الله وفاه الله 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 ربي عوني وحسبي ما لي سواه الله 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 ربي عوني وحسبي ما لي سواه الله 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 ربي عوني وحسبي ما لي سواه لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله حقا وصدقا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين. So today I want to go into the incredible effulgence and powerful meaning of the Salat, and to share with you some that I personally have discovered and have shared it with other people who have confirmed this, that you know, there's such incredible meaning in every single movement in the Salat. Beginning, and you could take it back, we'll probably take it back to finding Qibla, wudu. All of these things have become so ritualized amongst most Muslims that they have not looked deeply into what this incredible gift of the salat is. It's the foundational practice for all of us. It is like we said earlier, the salat al-miraj al-mu'min. It is the practice in which you are taken through all of the stations and delivered and into the to the throne of the one and only. And it is a place where you can dissolve yourself, where the self is dissolved, and in the tasting of the foreverness that is within you. So the salat itself is amazing. Now there's a way to, we haven't been taught this. Most people who were raised in Islam, who become Muslim, they just are taught in the madrasa that this is what you do, this is how you pray. But I find very few people have actually been, has it unpacked to them on some of the meanings of the movements and how they affect you and how they encompass you, both your heart, your mind, your body, your different aspects of your higher consciousness, how it all envelops and embraces you in fullness, and to enter into that mihrab. I want you to try to keep this idea of entering into the mihrab. Think of the mihrab, that cove, that thing that's been etched out of a wall, that of solidity, to enter into that space which is beyond space and time. That's what the mihrab is. The mihrab is your entry into the heart of hearts. If you even look at it, it's like there's a wall and then there's something dug out of it, like almost it doesn't belong. But that is a metaphoric outer sign of a potential inner reality. So the salat, when you remember certain aspects of it, like we're going to unpack today, it will deepen it, it will widen it, and inshallah it'll be a flying carpet for you to the nur azal, the light and that's present within your own heart. So I want to go through it with you step by step, and if anybody wants to say something about it and wants me to stop and unpack it a bit more, I'd be very happy to do that. So the first thing I want to address is that when you think about looking for Qibla, we always take out our cell phones or whatever and we look for Qibla, which is the direction. But what does it mean to look for Qibla in a holistic picture of your life? It means that you are searching for what is the ultimate direction and purpose of your life. This is what looking for Qibla means. It means that you are trying to find the direction in your life of where Allah has decreed for you as a human being, the highest potential for you to find and to reflect and to mirror. So the finding Qibla is a reorientation of your concerns of life and the things that you're involved in to the one singular purpose that you were created for. So this is the foundational basis of Qibla. Now, what is Qibla? So you think about it, Qibla is facing Kaaba. We've discussed this before when I was here last. What does it mean to face Kaaba? Kaaba is Baytullah. And now what is the other thing that is called Baytullah? Is your heart. Allah says the whole universe in a Hadith Qudsi cannot contain me, but the heart of the mu'min contains me. So it says that at the core essence of your being is the nur of Allah, the light of Allah within you. Yet we're in this dunya, so we have the Kaaba. And the Kaaba is Baytullah also. So what does it mean when you stand in front of the Baytullah? Is you're standing in front of your true self. You are aligning your heart and your attention, your consciousness with the so-called outer mirror or metaphor of the truth, the haqq of your own being. So you find the Qibla and you face it. And imagine at that point when you're standing in front of Kaaba, when you've just find it, it's like two mirrors facing. If two mirrors perfectly face each other, you know what happens. It is a view of infinity, of foreverness. And that is what is there, a potential to impress upon you when you do this, when you make your salat, is that you are standing in front of your own true reality. It doesn't mean that you deny the relative, your insaniya, your humanity. But at that point in salat, you are sealing yourself off from the involvement of the world of dunya, and you're focusing yourself for the ultimate purpose. And this is what you, to benefit from this, is what you keep in mind when you enter to facing the Kaaba. Now, before you even do that, after you find the Qibla, you do wudu. Now, wudu, I used to watch when I was in Pakistan, people just splashing water all over the place and using gallons of it, and and I read somewhere that the Prophet ﷺ used less than a pint of water for a ghusl, right? Let alone what he used for wudu. It must be, and water was so rare and precious, you wouldn't be doing that. So water is not, the wudu part is not about cleaning yourself. You should already be in tahir when you are doing wudu. Your clothes should be tahir, your body purified. Your body should be purified. You already should be in that state. The wudu is a metaphor of sealing yourself. So you take the water and you just seal your arms and your hands, your arms, your thoughts, your head, where your feet go. You entering into a state of sealing yourself off from the distractions of the dunya, sealing yourself off from the mind, your whatever business you were involved in, and coming and narrowing it down to the ultimate purpose of your existence. So you seal yourself. And if you think about water, water is the most amazing celestial material that even today, I was reading an article recently that scientists cannot explain why water is water, because it's a hydrogen molecule and an oxygen molecule, and they're both gases. It shouldn't be liquid, right? But it is. So there's something already very unique about it. Secondly, where's water from? The overarching theory about water, because the earth was a molten rock, just like the rest of the universe at one point, hot and gaseous, that water came to this earth delivered by asteroids and large space objects, probably meteors and asteroids, mostly asteroids. And it came, so in a way, if you think of it as again, a metaphor, that it is a celestial thing. It is a beautiful gift that Allah had organized in the evolution of this world to use this water. And to think also that the water that you have now is the same water that's been here ever since there's been water. The earth is constantly recycles in the weather and in the rivers and in the oceans. It's the same water. The water you're drinking now was in the dinosaurs. So there's a collective reality to water. So these are things that one has to reflect on when you're doing your prayer. You're using something that actually has the collective memory of all humanity. Is anybody familiar with the work of, what's the Japanese? Emoto Mizue, I think is something, I can't remember his name. Mizue. He has done these studies where taken water, and if you resonate with it with anger, and then they look at it in a microscope, it shows a disharmonious crystallization. But when you emanate love and compassion to it, the water crystal becomes mandala-like and harmonious. And all through the Muslim world, I saw it everywhere I've been, over 35 Muslim countries, that they have bowls with Ayatul Kursi written on them. Or they take a bowl and put it in the middle of a dhikr, and afterwards people drink from it, because they know the science that water has a collective memory. It collects memory from the moment, and it also has a collective memory of all humankind and all sentient and non-sentient life in this planet. So water is an amazing thing. So it's not just for cleaning, it is to seal yourself with this celestial gift so that you prepare yourself for the ultimate purpose of your life. Then when you stand in front, you're up now and you found the Qibla, you're in wudu, and then you raise your hands up and use your imagination, use your khayal. Allah gave you these inner senses to ride on them and to benefit from them. So think of it as that you are saying Allahu Akbar, which means Allah is greater than anything I can conceive. It is beyond the conception of anything greater than great. And when you do that, it's as though you are taking this dunya, this world, this relative world, and you're metaphorically pulling the curtain back and putting it behind you, so that you're now standing in front of the ultimate mirror, the Kaaba, the Qibla, the Bayt Allah, the heart of Allah. Your heart is there, and all of this world and all the things in it are now behind you. So now you're standing. And standing is something that has to do with the human being. You know, there's the human being, he stands or she stands. And it's as though if you look at it as that's what I wanted to draw. I wanted to have some fun today and draw some pictures. Is that if you look at it in standing, so you stand, and that's just a line. So that in a way, it is the beginning. It says I. It says I am here. I've put everything behind me, and I am here. But now, I say the Quran. You recite Surah Al-Fatiha. I won't go into that today, but you do that, and there's a lot in that as well. And you go into ruku, which is a bend, right? And that is now because you've stood egotistically, you've said, I am exist. You bend and you say, Subhana Rabbil Azim, which is, this is a reflection on the incredible nature of creation. When you say Azim, you can imagine you're bowing to the celestial, the planets, the creation of the planets, not the planets. What I mean is the incredible beauty that Allah has created, the trees, the human being, the baby, the sweet milk, the fruits. You can't begin to even count the cornucopia of incredible effulgence of Allah's creation. So you bend and you say, Subhana Rabbil Azimi wa bihamdi, recognizing that. Then, in a way, the ego, it returns and you come out of it and you say, and you stand up again. That's a little bit crooked, but you get the point. You stand up again because, in a way, this is who we are. We notice these beautiful things. We recognize the effulgence of Allah's creation. And we're awestruck by it. But also, we return back to our own agendas, our own ego. And when we do that, we have this realization that we have to then enter into sajda. Right? Sajda is a zeroing out of the self-expression, the awestruckness even of all creation, the return again to yourself and your agenda, and finally realizing in consciousness that the only thing you can do is put your senses on the ground. Your heart becomes above your head for the first time when you do sajda. Your heart is above your head. And you say, Subhana Rabbil Azimi wa bihamdi. Now, Subhana Rabbil A'la. A'la, at this point here, is like Akbar, Allahu Akbar. It is high beyond your ability to comprehend high. So it means that this is the transcendent, this is where the communication of the heart takes place. This is where you have, in a metaphorical way, and in a practical way, you have put your sensory on the ground. You've put your hands, which is your feelings, your nose you're smelling, your eyes you're seeing, your ears you're hearing, your lips that is tasting. You've put it, and the heart becomes above the head, so the thoughts are no longer relevant. And you submit into the sajda. That is the part of Qaba wa Qathaini, where you become closer than close to the reality which is already within your heart. This is the access point of your heart. All this, in fact, is about the heart in the first place, but this is where it is the transcendent from here, from the claim of existence to the appreciation of Allah's incredible effulgence, to the return of the ego again, because we all have to go back to work at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever it is. But then we realize ultimately that our true nature and our true purpose is to be in submission into sajda, which is, this represents beyond time and space. And it's really interesting. I was looking at this pattern the other day, and I was thinking about that, before I write it, that the practices of Islam are so beautiful and unique that it incorporates your wholeness into it. So you're not just praying, oh God, help me, or doing that's also good, to pray and all this, but this encompasses you, your body, because beyond your mind, you're doing actions. You're entering into the Mihrab with your fullness, with your wholeness in a wholesome way. Imagine, they used to describe some of the wonderful Ahl Sufa, the people who were the people of the Sufa, and the people who were close to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when they prayed, they looked like wheat swaying in the fields when the cool breeze came. They would just, because they were in that embrace of Allah's rahmah and entering into a maqam, a station, or an ahal, a condition of full ibadat, beyond their mind and beyond space and time. So the wind of Allah takes them. You get carried by the wind, that breeze that comes from Jannah. In this, so I was looking at this the other day, and I started reading this article about how everything is so connected. There's a wave, and there's a particle, and then beneath all of that is what they call the quantum world. I don't like to too much go into quantum, because I'm not a quantum physicist, but what I do know about it is that, in a way, standing is like that you're like a particle. I exist. And then you bend, and it becomes like a wave. And when you go into sajda, is you enter into the beyond world, beyond the rules and I don't know how to put the science and the physics of creation, and you go into the transcendent state, beyond. And so this idea of the relative world, that you have the wave and the particle, and the quantum world, is reflected in the salat. Are you with me on this? You understand? Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's just that what this meant to me, what impressed me about this, was that again it's an complete whole embrace, right, of your prayer, that you enter into this station of sajda where all is gone, and you are communing with the Nur Azza, the light of lights, which is present within your heart. And now, after you've done that, you think about it, that when the Prophet ﷺ, when he received the first revelation, and then you also think about وَرَزَقْنَهُمْ يُنْفِكُونَ, where Allah says in sort of the first ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, what we give you, you give out. So you have to, from here, you have to return to the sitting. And from the sitting, you return again to the sajda, and then you start the cycle over. So this is a metaphor that we cannot remain in any of these positions. In the outer salat, in the practice of salat, but these are metaphors of how the composition, potential composition of your life can be, when they described that the Prophet ﷺ described that the potential for someone to be fi salatihim da'imun, that that person is in the prayer all the time, because the potential is for you always to be in sajda, and that is your inner state. And your other states are you're aware of the self, you're aware of the effulgence, and this is where you practice the adab to the creation. This is the return back from the experience of oneness, of tawheed, back to being وَرَزَقْنَهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, that the people of Iman, the people who have established the prayer, the people who believe in the unseen. It's so interesting when you look at that ayah. If I just take it, it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, how does it begin? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That book. Now here's an interesting statement. Allah is not saying this book, the Mus'haf, because the Mus'haf can have a mistake in it. A book can be burned. Someone told me this morning that some politician wrapped the Quran in bacon. You were there, right? And they tried to rile up the Muslims. You can't wrap the Quran in bacon, because it's not the Quran. You can't defile the Quran. Whoever does that, if you think that they're defiling the Quran, it's an illusion. The Quran is the living word of Allah Azza wa Jalla. There's no way you can defile that. It is the essence and foundation of all things, of all this life. There's no way. It's just a provocation of nafs, of self. I mean, think of it when the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to Taif, and they threw stones at him and they broke his teeth and they made him bleed, you know. What did he? He walked away. He said, may Allah guide them. You know, we have to remember that there's a much greater purpose and a meaning to our lives than to get stuck and provoked and take the ball when somebody throws it at you. Just because somebody throws a ball at you doesn't mean you have to catch it. You know, you have to be very careful about being provoked in this way. But coming back to this ayah, he says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. So it's belief in that book which it gives you and belief in the unseen which it makes you muttaqi. Not belief in just this mushaf that you're reading. The mushaf contains the signs and the meaning of it, but the true communication of that mushaf is not taking place in the book, it's taking place in the heart, in your own being. The Quran, Imam al-Ghazali said that you should consider the Quran as though it was written just for you, because you are the Quran in potential. They asked Imam Ali, they said, would you describe the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And he said he was the Quran on two legs, and this is transmitted by many of his family, his wives. It's a very common understanding, because he understood that the living Quran is alive, and it is a dynamic reality which cannot be defiled. It cannot be defiled. It's impossible to be defiled. So, وَلَا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Let me go back to that again. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And after you have accepted this uncreated word of Allah, the ability of this undefiable reality, and you now have access to that guidance which it says in this ayah, then you can, and you believe in the unseen. You know, think about it, really consider it. There is more going on in the unseen than the seen. What do we see? Really, in the end of the day, what do we experience? What do we see? We see a very small spectrum of light, a very small spectrum of hearing. Our consciousness is limited to see only what Allah has designed for us to see. A limited picture, but in it the potential for seeing the ultimate picture. It is a lens. It's a lens that goes out from the original purpose. Allah says that I was a treasure, hidden, wanting to be known before anything came into creation. And then the kun fayakun came, and the entire creation came out in an effulgence beyond anything that physics can describe whatsoever. And in all of that was written in the DNA of the beginning. I'm using that as a metaphoric term. As a DNA in the beginning was to produce finally the ultimate reflector of the reality of the pre-existence, which is the essence of Allah, was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was destined for that to happen. As each one of us was destined to have this model within you. You all have the moment of the very beginning of creation exists within you. The very moment before. Because remember the hadith, Allah says that He gathered all the arwah in one place before He made this creation. And He said, Ilasti bi rabbikum, am I not your Lord? And all the arwah answered, yes. So that reality is pre-existence. Our reality is pre-creational, yet experienced and reflected in the creation. So all of us are, like we talked about yesterday, we are like a mandala. And the mandala has a center, and that center is the Ruh. And that center has no space or center anywhere. It's my center, so to speak. There's no such thing as my anything. But my center, or what is the reality of who I am inside me, is the same as anybody else. We all are exactly the same. We're all exactly reflecting Allah's decree, Allah's will, and Allah's desire to be known. And in the prayer, when you approach the prayer with the right courtesy, with knowledge, with presence, then the prayer becomes your miraj, your journey through all this incredible cornucopia of existences, seen and unseen, to the throne, and beyond the throne to the light which is within your heart and forever present everywhere. So this is what I wanted to share today. When you do your prayer, don't take it for granted. Don't look at it as something you have to do to check off so that you'll be a good Muslim. See it as, and appreciate it as what it was meant to be for you, which is your burak, your carpet to fly away from your self and self-identity to the throne and the footstool of Allah's presence. And in all of this, I want to also just return to one thing, is that Allah did not create us in a sense that we should be denying what we look at as ghayrillah. There's no such thing as ghayrillah, but what we experience is otherness. Because there is no otherness. If you begin, you use this example when you think about this. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he received the Quran, the light of the Quran at the first time, the first word that came to him was Iqra. Now, Iqra means read, and this is the command that's for each one of us. It's not just for the Prophet ﷺ, it's for each one of us. Read. And of course, he, in a metaphoric way, he said, read what? And the Jibril explained to him what he should read. And later, when he went to see his wife Khadija, when he went to see Khadija, he explained to her what had just happened to him. And she said, can you describe Jibril to me? And he said his face was from one horizon to the other. Right? Now, if you're thinking materialistically, you think, wow, that's big. One horizon to the other, it's a big face. But what he means there is that Jibril, who's the angel of revelation, revealed to him whatever he could see of this from one horizon to the other, he now could read it. He could see everything, the mountains, the trees, the birds, the stars, his body, his everything, all within the context of revelation, of coming to his highest purpose. So that's what we have to do too. We have to read. We have to live our lives as though we're living the Quran. We're living our book. When someone comes to you and says, you upset me, or you made me feel wonderful, or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Read it and see what's happening inside you. Why do you feel resentful? Why do you feel elated at that time? Look at it. Read yourself. Read what the person is saying. Read the trees. Read the ocean. Read the stars. Read everything that everything is interconnected to a holistic story telling you about who you are. There is nothing that you experience, absolutely nothing, that is not a pathway, doorway, stepping stone, however you want to look at it, to your own true self. The worst things, the good things, the bad things, it doesn't matter. These are all labels we ascribe based on our condition, on how we were brought up and what we think. But in reality, Allah's mercy never stops. Allah's guidance never stops. Allah's creation and the purpose of His creation, His intention never stops. So if it never stops, it's always present. And if it's always present, if you don't see it, it's because you're not present. You're not in the moment, leaving behind your own agenda, being in the dhikr of Allah, and letting go of anything and everything that you imagine and are attached to, so that you can read the moment, just like the Prophet ﷺ read. And that's what made him a prophet, is that from that moment on, the whole universe was revealed to him. He can see the circumstance at any given moment, and he saw it as it is. Prophet ﷺ said one of his most constant prayers was, Allah, show me things as they are. So that's what we want. We want to see things as they are. And this is when you spiritualize, and I don't like saying this, but this is what we have to talk about these days. This is what spiritualizes your Islam. I mean, I meet so many Muslims who, they're Muslim and then they go meditate in Buddhist temples and they go do Hindu things. It's okay. I'm not criticizing that. I think it's a need. People need to find their way to find the stillness within themselves. But all of this, and even more, even in a greater way, all that's within the Deen of Islam. Anything you find in Buddhism, Hinduism, I'm not talking about theosophy, theosophical ideas, some philosophical thing. I'm talking about what you're getting out of it, what you're looking for, what you want. You want peace, you want stillness, you want happiness, you want joy, you want consistency. All human beings want the same thing. So we look for it where we think we can get it, in a relationship or in a path or in whatever it is that we're looking for. But I'm especially addressing the young people who are taught to pray but not taught what the prayer is about. Were you taught that when you were a child? Anything like what we're talking about here? No. So you did it like because you had to, right? Or else you get maybe smacked by your mullah. I mean, my boys went to a madrasa, and if they didn't recite the Quran right, they'd make them bend over and put bricks on their back, right? And then get smacked with a stick. I mean, how much more the impression that smacking a stick, and although sometimes you have to use a stick, forgive me for that, but I'm just saying that what 99.99% of the time work is knowledge, is transmitting this knowledge and opening up and unpacking our wonderful, beautiful practices to the young people and remembering to do them ourselves. Okay, Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ahdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين. Actually, can I say one more thing before you turn that off? I just remembered something. This recently came to me, and I wrote Sheikh Fadlallah an unrelated comment regarding my coming here. And he said, in his response to me was, follow your gratitude and be in gratitude and see the nur ala nur, a light upon lights. And when he said that to me, I had just, when I saw it pop up on my WhatsApp, I had just was thinking about, why is it that we say in the adhan, Allahu Akbar twice, and the Shahada twice, and Hayal al-Falah, Hayal al-Salah twice. Everything, if you look through our practice, a lot of things are double, all the way through. And it occurred to me that the same modeling is there. That when you say, and it could be either way, it's a reflection of kurukum. You remember me and I'll remember you. When you say Allahu Akbar, Allah says Allahu Akbar. Or the other way around, I'm not sure. Allah says Allahu Akbar and you say Allahu Akbar. But it doesn't matter which way that is. And when you say Hayya al-Falah, you say Hayya al-Falah. The universe is saying that. So whenever you think about this and try to see if, experiment with it, when you see that you're having to do things twice in our prayers and in our ritual practices, it's something to do with this nur ala nur. That Allah, the Shahada, there's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. There's this repetition of twice. It has to do with something with the nur, like light upon light. And in reality, that's who I think ultimately who we are. We are light upon light. Just light relatively appearing and light beyond space and time. That's it. Astaghfirullah. Assalamu alaikum.